Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Chaitanya Charitāmrita overview class. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शुद्धवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone. We are discussing from Chaitanya Charitāmrita, Madhya lila. We are on chapter 6, the liberation of Sarvabhauma. And in this chapter, so far we have discussed, we have heard how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wanted to give mercy to Sarvabhaum. So he was really wonderfully making Sarvabhaum affectionate towards him. And then we heard how Sarvabhaum, out of his affection, he wanted to bring Mahaprabhu to the first level of sannyas, Mayavad sannyas, because Mahaprabhu was from Bharati Sampradaya, he had taken sannyas, and Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya wanted to bring him to Saraswati Sampradaya, that is the first class sannyas. So Gopinath Acharya, this is my plan. Gopinath said he is the Supreme Lord. It doesn't depend on all these external rituals. And he said, you will not understand that, he's supreme because you have not received the mercy of the Lord. This is a very important statement because later Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, he would tell this to Gopinath that earlier you told me. Gopinath Acharya tells Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, earlier I had told that you have not received mercy, that's why you cannot understand. Now, because you have received the mercy of the Lord, you can understand so many wonderful, intimate pastimes of the Lord. And then there was a debate between Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, not debate. Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya was teaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Vedanta for 7 days. Mahaprabhu didn't show any expression. 8th day, Sarvabhaum asked, are you understanding anything? Mahaprabhu said, the philosophy of Vedanta is like a noonday sun, but your explanation is like the cloud which is covering the sun. And he started explaining the Vedanta philosophy from a devotional perspective and ultimately transformed Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. Sarvabhaum, he gave hundreds of oppositions, arguments, and so many things. But ultimately he was defeated. And Mahaprabhu, he showed him this form of Vishnu and Krishna, and he was completely transformed. And we heard how one day Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, as he was taking rest, and Mahaprabhu, he went to him with Mahaprasad of the Lord Jagannath's Mahaprasad in the morning, Shayotthana Darshan. And even before Sarvabhaum, took bath, he just ate all that Mahaprasad. And he quoted 2 verses. Shushkam parishitam vapi nitam va duradeshatam prapti matrena bhoktavyam natra kala vicharana. He says there is no consideration of time and place. As soon as you get Mahaprasad, you should eat it. And that's what we discussed. We discussed till verse number 234. Seeing this, how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had really been transformed. Mahaprabhu was so ecstatic. He said, "Today I have conquered three worlds. Today I have conquered Vaikuntha. Ajimui anayase jinunu tribhuvan, ajimui kainu Vaikuntha arohan. Ajimui sarva purna hoila sarva abhilash, sarva bhaumera hoila mahaprasade vishwas." So that's how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so very happy to see the transformation that Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, he has developed faith in Mahaprasad. It is not so easy to develop faith in Mahaprasad. Every day we chant this prayer, Mahaprasad Govinde, Nama Brahmani Vaishnave, Swalpa Punyavatam Rajan Vishwaso Naiva Jayate. A person who does not have sufficient Sukriti, he cannot put faith in four things: Mahaprasad, Nama, Mahaprasada, Govinda, deities of the Lord, Nama, and Vaishnavas, the holy names and the Vaishnavas. So Alpa Punyavatam, those who do not have sufficient credits, Sukriti, they cannot have put faith in this. So Mahaprabhu was so very happy and satisfied seeing this transformation of Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. He says, "O Sarvabhaum, today you have been released from the clutches of Maya and you have cut to pieces the shackles of material energy. Today your mind has become fit to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord." And then he speaks this 235th verse. Yesham saesha bhagavan dayayedanantaha sarvatmanashrit pado yadi nirvyalikam te dustaramati taranti cha deva mayam naisham amahamiti swasrigala bhakshe. So in this verse, this is a verse from second canto of Bhagavatam 2:742. In that it is described only a non-duplicitous devotee can receive mercy of the Lord. Not everyone. It is not so easy to receive mercy of the Lord. Yesham sa esh Bhagavan, that supreme unlimited Lord, Dayayed, he bestows his causeless mercy upon him. Upon whom? Sarvatmana ashrita. If somebody without any reservation, nirvyalika, without any reservation, with all his body, mind, soul, surrenders and takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, what happens? Te dustaramati taranti cha deva mayam. They also cross this ocean of material existence. Dustaram, which is very, very difficult to cross. This ocean of nescience, ocean of illusion, it is so very difficult to cross. But those who are fixed, who have fixed their intelligence in bodily conception, mama aham iti, dhi means intelligence. If somebody's intelligence is fixed in aham and mama, I and mine, they are fit to be eaten by dogs and jackals. Swa shwa shrigal bhakshe. That means, and it is described in Bhagavatam, the body, human body has three destinations. Either it turns into earth, or it turns into stool, or it turns into worms. When it is burnt, it becomes ashes, goes in the soil. If it is eaten by somebody, it becomes stool. When it is eaten by dogs and hogs and jackals and wild animals, some people, they throw the dead bodies in the forest. And if it is just put in the soil as it is, the worms eat it and they grow. So Shwa Shrigal Bhakshe. That's the destination of a person who has lived his life in a bodily conception. So that person can never attain the Lord. Unless Lord shows mercy, nobody can understand the Lord. Nobody can come out of the misconception of I and mine. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, Lord never bestows his benediction upon those fixed in bodily conception. Now the question comes, well, unless the Lord shows benediction, one cannot come out of the bodily conception. So, and here Prabhupada writes that unless one is out of bodily conception, one doesn't get the mercy of the Lord. So how is this possible? It is like a vicious loop. So at least in the beginning, we should theoretically understand and try to act on the level of soul. That is what Krishna expects. And seeing that endeavor, then Lord gives realization. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahetukam. When we work to come close to Krishna, then Krishna gives knowledge and detachment. So Prabhupada writes, he quotes 18.66 Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. And Prabhupada writes that the first instruction which Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita is what? You are not this body, you are soul. At least we should understand this theoretically and try to work at the level of the soul. And how to work at the level of the soul? All the activities of devotional service are activities at the level of the soul. They are nourishing the soul. Otherwise, all the activities which we do in the world, they are nourishing our body. But what about the soul? So when people, they work in this world, they are acting at the level of body. And when they come to Krishna consciousness, then they start hearing, chanting, Shravana, Kirtan, Vishnu, Smarana, all these 9 limbs. That is acting at the level of soul. Prabhupada writes, this is the first instruction to be assimilated by a devotee. If one is under the bodily conception, he is unable to realize his true identity and engage in loving devotional service of the Lord. So we have to understand whenever it is mentioned that you have to come out of the bodily conception, that means at least theoretically we should understand it. Prabhupada very clearly writes, if one is under the bodily conception, he is unable to realize his identity. So realization is a consequence of understanding. That's where we have to begin with. That, okay, this is what scriptures say, I'm not this body, I am soul. Okay, I have understood it. Now I'll act on that level. Shravanam, Mananam, and Nidhidhyasanam. Hearing, then contemplating, and then acting accordingly. With Prabhupada writes, without surrendering unto the lotus feet of Krishna, one cannot expect release from Maya. So material, all these Mayavadis, they think that they are liberated. Vimukta maninaha, but they are not vimukta maninaha. They are not liberated. They fall down very quickly. And Prabhupada writes, karmis, they are under the bodily conception. Jnanis, they theoretically understand, but they have no knowledge of the form of the Lord. So therefore, ultimately, they both can't receive the mercy of the Lord. Because unless you have personal conception of the Lord, how can you understand the Lord? How can you get the mercy of the Lord? Jnana Kand, Karma Kand, Jnana Kand, Kevala Vishera Bhand. Amrita boli jeba khaye, nana yoni sada phire, kadarya bhakshana kare, tara janma adhaha pate aaye. It is a pot of poison, karma kand and jnana kand. Under the influence of karma, a person sometimes does good, sometimes bad, sometimes he goes to the higher planets, sometimes goes to the lower planets. So therefore, and jnanis, for them also it is a long, long way. Bhavunam janmanam ante. After many, many lifetimes, they come to this. So Mahaprabhu was so very happy to see the transformation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He was very, very pleased. And then he returned back. And Kaviraj Goswami says, from that day on, Sarvabhauma was free from false pride. His false pride was completely dismantled. Chaitanya charana bina nahi janeyan, bhakti vinu shastre rar na kore vyakhyan. From that day on, Sarvam Bhattacharya did not know anything but the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is a transformation he underwent. He was just dedicated to the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And anything he described from devotional perspective, not from Mayavad perspective. And when everyone saw this transformation of Sarabham, especially Gopinath Acharya, he was so very happy. And he was dancing and clapping his hand and loudly chanting Hari Hari. He was so very happy. Then next day, Sarabham Bhattacharya, he went to the temple of Lord Jagannath, and he actually, before going to the temple of Lord Jagannath, he went to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's the faith he had developed. He understood that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. He is not an ordinary personality. And Sarvam Bhattacharya, he went to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to take his darshan. And he fell down like a rod, Dandavat Pranam. He offered beautiful prayers. And he was very, he was feeling very humble, thinking about his previous disposition of Mayavad. That's how devotee always feels and should always feel. However advanced we may become in Krishna consciousness, how many followers, how many devotees we may be connecting and cultivating, but personally, one should always remember where I was in the beginning of Krishna consciousness. And by the mercy of Lord, by the mercy of devotees, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where have I come? So devotee always feels humble, remembering all the bad things which he has done before coming to Krishna consciousness. That's how a devotee always feels humble. Where was I? I was falling in the deep, dark well of material existence. It is the mercy of the Lord and devotees that they have saved me. Andasya merita vivek mahadhanasya chaurai prabho balibirindriya namadheyaha mohanda gopakohare vinipatitasya deveshu dehi kripanasya karavalambam. I am blinded because my discrimination power, which is my vision, it is stolen by my senses. They are very strong and powerful thieves. And because of blindness, I have fallen in this deep, dark well of material existence. Mohanda kupa kuhare vinipatitasya. Oh my Lord, please save me. So that's how Bhattacharya was feeling, very humble and very meek. He says, Bhakti sadhana shreshta shunite hoye man, Prabhu upadesha koila nama sankirtan. Yes, Mahaprabhu. Oh my Lord, which item is the most fundamental and important in execution of devotional service? Bhakti sadhana shreshta, which is the most important of all the limbs of devotion. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, Nama Sankirtan, chanting of the names of the Lord is the most important limb. Rupa Goswami has given the 64 limbs of devotional service. They are the explanation of the 9 items described in Bhagavatam, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. All these 9 limbs are expanded into 64. And amongst these 64, Nam Sankirtan. What is Sankirtan? Even in Sankirtan, there is Roop Sankirtan, Lila Kirtan, Guna Kirtan, and Nama Kirtan. Nam Kirtan is the foremost. That is what Shukdev Goswami also says. Tasmad Bharat Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishwaro Hari Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Bhagavan Nrinam Smartavya Ichchita Abhayam Shravanam Shrotavya, Smartavya, remembering, and Kirtan. Amongst this, he says, chanting is the best. And even in chanting, Nama Sankirtan is the best. Etan nirvidyamananam ichchatam akudobhayam yoginam nipnirnitam harer nama anukirtanam. Chanting of the names of the Lord is the most important. So one may think, well, if chanting is the best, then why Shukadeva Goswami, who is the Acharya of Kirtan? There are 9 limbs, Shravanam Kirtanam, the most important prominent personality, the Acharya of the person who symptomizes Shravanam is Parikshit. Kirtan is Shukadeva Goswami. Why he didn't do just Kirtan for 7 days? Why he spoke Bhagavatam for 7 days? Because to chant that one mantra properly, a person should have this basic understanding and very, very foundational understanding of the glories of the holy names, the glories of who is this personality, Krishna. For that, it is required to chant, to hear about the glories of the Lord. That's why Shukadeva Goswami did Guna Kirtan, Lila Kirtan, Rupa Kirtan for 7 days. Although chanting is the supreme, it is topmost, but still to chant that one name with a pure consciousness, we have to hear about that holy name. We have to hear about the personality. We hear about the pastimes, the rupa, the guna. Then we can chant in right consciousness. Otherwise, Bahujanma kare yadi Shravana Kirtan tabuto na paye Krishna pade prem dhan. If we are not in right consciousness, even if we chant for millions of lifetimes, we will not get benefited. So Mahaprabhu is emphasizing that, Bhakti Sadhana Sreshta, you want to hear Bhakti Sadhana Sreshta? The best of all the Bhakti Angas, Nama Kirtan. Harer Ram, Harer Ram, Harer Ram eva kevalam, Kalau nasti eva, nasti eva, nasti eva gatiranyatha. Prabhupada, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted this verse from Brihan Naradiya Puran. That how in this age of Kali Yuga, which is the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the names of the Lord. In this one verse, 8 times same thing is emphasized. Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Eva, Kevalam, Kalau, Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva. 8 times. Same thing is repeated to emphasize how important it is. And Prabhupada writes, because people of this age are so fallen, they can simply chant. They can't understand much of the philosophy. Manda Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya. For them, understanding Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, that is itself a big deal. So for most of the people, chanting is sufficient. Actually, that's what Mahaprabhu told Prakashananda Saraswati. We heard in the first Adi Lila. He asked, why are you not staying with us? Why are you not studying Vedanta? Why are you chanting and dancing like sentimental people? Bhavuk hoiya phire bhavukera sane. So Mahaprabhu said, well, actually, Guru more murk dekhi korila sashan. My spiritual master told me that you are a fool. You cannot read Vedanta. You just chant the names of the Lord. That was, of course, out of humility. But that is the situation of people of this Kali Yuga many times. That does not mean that we should not study Vedanta, not study philosophy, basically. Whatever our capacity is, we should try to understand the basic philosophy of Krishna consciousness, because the basic philosophy makes us strong. Siddhanta boliya jiva chitte nakaro alas, iha hoite Krishna lagi sudrida manas. Otherwise, we'll become sentimental devotees if we are not understanding the philosophy. As the famous statement of Prabhupada in 3rd chapter Bhagavad Gita, 3rd verse, religion without philosophy is sentimental speculation, sentiment or fanaticism, and philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So we can chant Hare Krishna, that is simplest way, but we have to understand the philosophy. So Prabhupada writes, people of this age are so fallen, they can't do anything else. For them, simply chanting is prescribed. येषां तु अन्तगतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ता भजन्ते मां दृढव्रताः. People of this class are so sinful. For them, it is very, very difficult to take to this chanting. So therefore, the basic qualification is give up sinful activity. Antagatam papa. So therefore, Prabhupada writes, Hari Kirtan is very important. And Prabhupada then quotes this verse from Bhagavatam. This Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, but there is one great benediction. What is that? Just by chanting the names of the Lord, one can achieve the highest perfection. Kaler dosha nidhi rajan asti eko mahan guna kirtanadev krishnasya mukta sangah param brajet. One can be free from the material entanglement and attain the highest perfection. So Mahaprabhu elaborately explained this Harer Naam verse, and Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya was really wonderstruck. For us, we may be thinking, हमने तो 1000 बार सुना है, इसमें क्या बड़ी बात है? But for a person like Sarvabhaum, who was steeped into Mayavad, who had studied Vedanta, all the scriptures practically, to understand this very, very simple concept that chanting is the only way, that is very rare. It is like, it is described in the scriptures only. Vedas say that all the Vedas, Upanishads, Itihas, they are like the forest. Amnayabhyasananyaranya ruditam veda phalanyanvaham. It is like crying in wilderness. Amnaya abhyas. Amnaya means the Vedas. Studying Vedanta, it is like aranya ruditam. It is like crying in the forest. Kaun sunega? Nobody will hear. Nobody will hear our appeal, our prayers, our cries. Who is God? Who is God? Where to find God? What is the way? Nobody will hear. It is like that. Studying Vedas and coming to the conclusion, very rare. It is the mercy of Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we are getting this most important and the highest philosophy in a very, very simple and easy way. This is a very, very difficult, practically unimaginable thing for a Vedic scholar to understand. What is the goal? Nobody knows. Because some Vedas say this, some Vedas say that, some Vedas say, okay, you can do dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Gyan Kand is also a very, very, far off thing in the Vedic scriptures. You have to become really expert in the scriptures to understand, okay, Jnana is the next step. Most of the scriptures, they tell us to do karma, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. That's why Sarvabhaum was wonderstruck to hear the glories of holy names. And now at this point of time, Gopinath Acharya, he reminded Sarvabhaum, oh my dear Bhattacharya, I had told you earlier. Now you see, it has taken place. I told you that unless you receive the mercy of the Lord, you can never understand the Lord. Now, because you are blessed by the Lord, you can understand the intricacies of devotion. Prabhupada writes, previously Gopinath Acharya had reminded Sarvabhaum that when he would be blessed by the Lord, he would thoroughly understand the transcendental process of devotional service. That prediction was now fulfilled. Athapi te deva padambuja dvaya prasadaleshanugrihite eva hi Janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno na chanya ekopi chiram vichinvan. Unless one receives a drop of the mercy of the Lord, not possible to understand Krishna. And Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, by his Mayavad, he was actually going to the lowest of the destinations. It was so very dangerous. But Prabhupada writes, somehow or other he came into contact with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he had Gopinath Acharya as his relative. That's why Mahaprabhu showed mercy. Because whoever is dear to a devotee, Lord is forced to give mercy to that person. In the later chapters, it will come how Amogha, he criticizes Mahaprabhu for because Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, he called Mahaprabhu for prasad, and Amogha, he had this mentality of criticizing people. Oh, just see, the sannyasi is eating too much. As a result of that, what happened? Amogha, he was infected with cholera, he was dying. Sarvabhaum and his wife, they were so very sad hearing the criticism of Mahaprabhu. The wife of Sarvabhaum, he said, let my daughter Sati become a widow. Sarvabhaum was running behind Amogha with a stick. Mahaprabhu pacified them, said, oh, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, please come and feed me more. Don't worry about that. Next day, Mahaprabhu, he went to this Amogha and said, oh, Amogha, you are such a wonderful Brahman. You have such a wonderful heart. Why you have allowed this very, very sinful mentality of enviousness to enter your heart? He placed his hand on the chest of Amogha, completely purified him and cured him. And Amogha was now a transformed personality. He became a great devotee. Mahaprabhu came to house of Sarvabhaum. And Sarvabhaum, he understood, he came to know what happened. He asked, Mahaprabhu, why did you do that? He should have died. Sarvabhaum grihe das dasiye kukur se hamora priyanya janar hudur. That time Mahaprabhu says, oh Sarvabhaum, in your house, even servants and even a dog is dear to me. What to speak of anyone else? So Gopinath Acharya was such a great devotee of the Lord. So Mahaprabhu was attracted to give mercy to Sarvabhaum. That was one of the reasons. Bhattacharya kohe tare kori namaskare tomar sambandhe prabhu kripa koila more. Now Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya also understood this. He's offering obeisances to Gopinath Acharya and saying, because I am related to you, that's why Mahaprabhu gave me mercy. Tomara sambandhe prabhu kripa koila more. This is very, very crucial. We should never think I deserved it, I was so very advanced already. I was a pious personality and I was doing pujas and I was going to temples and I did not do anything wrong. So I deserved coming to Krishna consciousness. No, sir. There are many people like that. Ordinary Sukriti doesn't guarantee one bhakti. Unless one receives the mercy of the devotee of the Lord, not possible. Bhaktya sanjayate bhakti. Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite para, tomara shakati ache. And this mood attracts the Lord's mercy. To the extent we think, I didn't deserve it, but somehow devotees were merciful. That mood attracts the Lord. The same thing he told Rup Sanatan. So he was telling that later to devotees, these two brothers, they are so exalted. Dui bhai bhakta Raja Krishna kripa patra vyavahare rajamantri hoye raja patra. They are so very expert in the worldly dealings and they have received mercy of the Lord, but still they are so humble. So seeing their humility, Mahaprabhu is telling the devotees, I decided to give them mercy. And here also Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, when he's showing such humble disposition, Mahaprabhu says, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya continues, he says, Tumi Mahabhagavatami tarko andhe, Prabhu kripa koila more tomara sambandhe. Oh Gopinath Acharya, you are a Mahabhagavat. You are a great devotee. And I was blinded by this false logic. Tark andhe. Tumi Prabhu kripa koila more tomara sambandhe. Because I am related to you. That's why Mahaprabhu showed mercy. So that's how we should always feel, that because we are with the devotees, therefore we have received this mercy of the Lord. Otherwise, we are nothing. We are nowhere. Whatever skills, whatever strength, whatever ability to chant, whatever faith I have, it is all dependent on the mercy of the devotees. विनय सुनी तुष्टिये प्रभु कोइला लिंगन कोहिलाया करह ईश्वर दर्शन. Mahaprabhu was so very pleased and satisfied. Tushta hoya. Mahaprabhu was satisfied seeing this humility of Sarvabhaum. He embraced Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. And he told the Sarvabhaum, please you go and take darshan and come. He was very satisfied. That is a way to satisfy the Lord. When we humble ourselves in front of the devotees in a genuine way. Many times we can say, oh Prabhuji, I am so fallen. I have no qualification. But inside we may not feel like that. When we actually genuinely feel that no, I am nothing. Whatever I have, I may be doing big things now, but whatever I am able to do is only by the mercy of devotees and Prabhupada, Mahaprabhu, and Guru Parampara and Krishna. That is the right consciousness. But as soon as we start thinking, I did it, I was qualified, we lost the mercy. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya went to temple, took darshan, and brought huge quantities of Mahaprasad. He gave some to his servant, some to Brahmanas, and then the remaining he gave to Sarup Damodar and Jagdananda. And Sarvabhaum, he composed two beautiful verses glorifying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he wrote it on a palm leaf and he gave it to Mukunda, gave it to Jagdananda. He said, you are going to give prasad to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Please show him this. So Jagdananda said, okay. He brought and he was about to give that to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that palm leaf. Mukunda, he told, please show me that leaf. So Mukunda Datta, what he did, he read that and he copied that those two verses on the outer side of his house, the wall of his house. He wrote it on the wall. Everybody could see it. And then he gave that leaf to Jagdananda Pandit. Jagdananda, as soon as he gave this leaf to Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu read it. He became so angry. He just tore it into pieces and threw it. But all the devotees by that time, they had read what was there written on the wall of Mukunda, and they really cherished that. It was such a wonderful glorification of the Lord, and they all were so very happy and wonderstruck reading this beautiful composition of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. It was the most wonderful composition which gave such glory and fame to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. What are those two verses? Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Siksharthameka Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dhari Kripam Budhiryastamaham Prapadye. Very famous verse. To teach us the real knowledge of detachment, to teach us Nij Bhakti Yoga, his own devotional service. Vairagya Vidya, Nij Bhakti Yoga, Sikshartham, to teach. that Supreme Lord, who is Krishna himself, Purusha Purana, that Supreme Lord Krishna himself, he has appeared. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari, he has appeared in the form of Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kripa Ambudhi, and because he is ocean of causeless mercy, I take his shelter. So this verse and the next verse, these two verses, they were later included in the book of Kavi Karnapur, and the book was named Chaitanya Chandrodaya Natak. Next verse is also beautiful. Kalananashtan bhakti yogam nijamya pradushkartum Krishna Chaitanya nama avirbhutastasya padarvinde gadham gadham liyatam chitta bringaha kalanashtam. That ancient system of bhakti yoga, the devotional service, was almost lost. Why? Influence of time, Kalan, in the due course of time, it was lost. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Evam parampara praptam im rajasayo vidusa kalene ha mahata. Same thing, Kalan nashtam bhakti yogam nijam. His own devotional service, the system of devotional service unto himself, it was lost in due course of time. So, pradushkartum, to revive it, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Lord appeared as Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nama. Avirbhuta, he appeared as Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I offer my obeisances. Let my consciousness, Chitta Bhringa, my consciousness, which is like a honeybee, let that honeybee take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Gadham gadham liyatam chitta bhringaha. Let my consciousness become like a honeybee and take honey from the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Parijate anjasa labdhe sarango anya na sevate twadangri moolamasadya sakshat kim kim rinimahi. Bhagavatam also describes similar, just like the honeybee goes from flower to flower collecting little, very small amount of honey. But after the honeybee gets parijat, anjasa, it doesn't have to go anywhere else because it is full of nectar. Unlimited quantity of nectar is present in parijata flower. Similarly, tvad angri moolam asadya, one who gets the honey from the lotus feet of the Lord, what is the use of going anywhere else? So, Prabhupada writes, Lord appeared in every yuga, yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata. That's why Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also have appeared in the guise, he is Krishna in the disguise of his own devotee, and he is mentioned as Supreme Lord in Bhagavatam, in Mahabharata, in so many other scriptures. Prabhupada writes, in this age of Kali, almost everyone is attracted to either karma, and very few are attracted to jnana. And therefore, there was a great need to revive the system of devotion. That's what Advaitacharya saw. Everywhere people are absorbed in karma kandi mentality. And he was praying intensely, oh my Lord, you please come. Only you can do it. Prabhupada writes that Krishna, he just gave orders in Bhagavad Gita, Manmanabha, Madbhakto, Madhyaji, then Sarva Dharman, but nobody was taking to it. Mahaprabhu came, Krishna came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to personally teach this. And Kaviraj Goswami describes that devotees, they found these two verses so very attractive. They started wearing it as a jewel around their neck. दुए श्लोक भक्त कंठे रत्नहार सार्वभौम मेरा कीर्ति घोषे ढक्का व्यवहार ढक्का वाद्याकार. So wonderfully he is writing. दुए श्लोक, these two verses, Bhakta Kanthe Ratnahar. They became the pearl necklaces around the neck of devotees. That means they were always reciting this, always speaking these two verses. And these two verses, they became the glory of Sarvabhaum. Sarvabhaumera Kirti Ghoshe. These two verses always declare the name and fame of Sarvabhaum very loudly. Dhakka Vadyakar, So Danka Bajake Kirti, Sarvabhaum's Kirti is glorified, spreading all over the world. सार्वभौम होइला प्रभुर भक्त एकतान महाप्रभुर सेवा विना nahi जानेयान. And Sarvabhaum became the unalloyed devotee of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He did not know anything else. He knew only one thing, service. And he knew only one mantra, chanting the names of Lord Sri Chaitanya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shachi Sutta Gunadham Ei Dhyan Ei Jap Lay Ei Nam. He would meditate on Lord Sri Chaitanya's glories, his qualities, his name. He would chant his name. That was his constant meditation. One day, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, he came and he offered obeisances and he recited a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. He recited a prayer from Brahmaji's prayers. One verse from his prayers in the 10th canto, very famous prayer, but he changed 2 syllables in this verse. That shows the glory of Sarvabhaum. Tattenu kampam susamikshemano bhunjanu evatma kritam vipakam hridavagva purbir vidadhan namaste jive tayo bhakti pade sadaya bha. Mahaprabhu said, wait a minute, why are you changing this mukti pade to bhakti pade? Original shlok is Mukti Pade. Oh my Lord, one who seeks your mercy, and tolerates all the adverse situations. Bhunjanu Evatmakritam, thinking that, okay, this is all my karma only. I'm suffering. And he engages in your service with Rid, Vag, Vapurbhir, with mind, body, words. He becomes a qualified candidate to achieve your bhakti. So original word is Mukti Pade. But Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya says, no, Bhakti Pade Sadaiva. So Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya was so averse to this Mukti term now. That shows the transformation. The person who had lived his whole life speaking about Mukti, he is now even averse speaking this term Mukti, even if it comes in Bhagavatam. He says, Bhakti Pade. So Mahaprabhu points out, why are you changing this two term? What is your intention? Sarvabhaum explains. He says, oh my Lord, devotional service surpasses liberation. So liberation is actually punishment for a devotee. Because liberation means impersonal liberation. Lord awards the same liberation, Sayujya Mukti, to the demons who are killed by him and to the Brahmavadis. They both achieve the same destination. For a devotee, it is hellish. He says there are 5 kinds of mukti. Salokya, Sarishti, Samipya, Sarupya, Aikatvam. A devotee may accept the other 4, but never accept Sayujya. Sayujya is hell. Now, let's see here what he's saying. Sayujya shunite bhaktera hoye ghrina bhay naraka vanchaye tabu sayujya nalay. He says devotee will go to hell, but he will not go to merge in Brahman. It creates ghrina. It creates hatred and fear in the heart of a devotee. Kaivalyam narakayate. Sarvabhaum continues. Brahme Ishvara Sayujya Duita Prakar. Brahma Sayujya Hoite Ishwar Sayujya Dhikkar. He says there are 2 types of Sayujya also. There is Brahma Sayujya, other is Ishwar Sayujya. Brahma Sayujya means merging in the Brahman effulgence of the Lord. Ishwar Sayujya means merging in the body of the Lord. Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya says of these 2, merging in the body is even more abominable. And Prabhupada writes about in detail about this Brahma Sayujya and Ishwar Sayujya. He says, Brahma Bhuta, the liberated people, they enter Brahman. They are allowed to enter Brahman. And because Krishna is supreme, powerful, he can attract, he can absorb them in his body also. But the identity always remains. One does not become one with the Lord. And then he describes in detail how these Brahmavadis, impersonalists, even if they enter Brahman, they can't stay there for long because there is no happiness there. They consider themselves liberated, but they are semi-liberated, Prabhupada writes. विमुक्त मानिना, वो मान लेते हैं कि मुक्त हो गए, but they are not liberated. And then Prabhupada writes, what is this Ishwar Sayujya? He says there are some followers of Patanjali yoga system. They want to merge in the body of the Lord. They worship the Lord as a person, but then ultimately they reject the personal form and they want to merge in the impersonal form. Sarvabhaum continues. A devotee never accepts it. He quotes a verse from Bhagavatam. Salokya, Sarishti, Samipya, Sarupya, Aikatvam, Apyuta, Diyamanam, Na Grihnanti, Vinamat Sevanam Jana. Kapila Devi is telling to his mother, oh mother, my devotees, they will not accept any of these five if there is no service. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, well, I can understand, I can appreciate, but let me tell you the meaning of Mukti Pade. Mukti Pade means it directly refers to the Supreme Lord. All kinds of liberation ultimately exist under the lotus feet of the Lord. Mukti Pad is Krishna himself. So therefore, what is the problem in accepting this? Another meaning is, Mukti is the 9th subject in the, 10 topics of Bhagavatam. Mukti is the 9th one. And ultimately, what is the ultimate Mukti is Ashraya of the Supreme Lord. So that's how I can understand these two meanings. What is problem in that? So Sarvam says, oh, actually, I now I can understand. I was not able to get this meaning. But well, although your explanation is correct, but I think it should not have been used, because if there is some confusion, why to create a confusion? Mukti generally refers to Sayujya Mukti. So, it is not the proper thing. And he says, now this is a very interesting verse he's speaking, 276th. Mukti shabda kohite mane hoye घृणा त्रास, bhakti shabda kohite mane hoye to ullas. Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya is speaking this. Mukti शब्द कहते हुए मने घृणा और त्रास, मन में घृणा होती है, त्रास दुख होता है. I feel hate and fear when I just hear this word mukti. The person was just speaking about it, practicing it. He is saying mukti शब्द सुनते हुए मने घृणा त्रास, अब भक्ति शब्द होए मने तो उल्लास. My mind becomes very jubilant hearing this word bhakti. As soon as Mahaprabhu heard this, he started smiling, laughing. Shuniya hasena Prabhu anandita mane, Bhattacharya koila Prabhu dridha alingane. He embraced Sarvabhaum very tightly. And he said, just see, this Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya who was reading Mayavad, speaking Mayavad, teaching Mayavad. And this is what is happening to him now. Ye Bhattacharya pade padhaye Mayavade, taravai che vakya spure Caitanya prasade. Kaviraj Goswami is speaking this now. Just see, by the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the person who was teaching Mayavad, reading Mayavad, now he is saying, I am just hearing the word mukti creates hatred and fear. As long as iron is not transformed into gold by its touch, no one can understand a touchstone. Similarly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has transformed Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. He himself told, I was like a ball of iron. लौह पिंड आमात द्रवायला तुम्ही प्रताप प्रचंड. You melted my heart. I was like a very hard ball of iron. You didn't just melt him. Mahaprabhu transformed him into gold. भट्टाचार्य वैष्णवता देखी सर्वजन प्रभु के जानिला साक्षात ब्रजेंद्र नंदन. Bhattacharya Vaishnavata Dekhi. When devotees they saw the wonderful Vaishnav qualities of Bhattacharya, transcendental Vaishnavism, everybody could understand. Supreme Lord is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sakshat Brajendra Nandan. After this, all the inhabitants of Jagannath Puri came, headed by Kashi Mishra. They came, they met with Mahaprabhu, and they took shelter. Kaviraj Goswami says, I will describe about this incident later, and I'll describe how Sarvabhaum served Mahaprabhu. Practically, he served Mahaprabhu day in and day out. He was really attached to Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in the end of this chapter, Kaviraj Goswami gives the Falashruti. Anyone who hears this wonderful pastime of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowing mercy on Sri Chaitanya on Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, he'll become free from the speculative mentality and fruitive activities, and he'll attain the shelter of the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ei Mahaprabhur lila Sarvabhaum milan iha ye shraddha kori karo ye shravan. Anyone who hears with faith, what will happen to him? Jnana karma pasya hoite hoye vimochan achire mile tare chaitanya charan. He'll be free from this karma and jnani mentality. He'll attain the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's how Kaviraj Goswami ends this chapter, by glorifying Rupa Raghunath Goswami. Sri Rupa Raghunath Padayar As Chaitanya Charitāmrta Kahe Krishna Das. So we'll end here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Shla Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shla Krishna Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Shla Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya ki jai.